Hello, this is Gil Boyne. Today we're going to deal with suggestibility test and induction techniques. Now the test we're going to show next can be used either as a suggestibility test or as an actual induction of hypnosis. I first originated this about 1955. It's been widely used as a favorite by my graduate students here at the Hypnotism Training Institute of Los Angeles, mostly because of its extraordinary effectiveness, and I'll explain just how it works in a moment. First, we're going to demonstrate this method as a suggestibility test, and then following that, we'll show you just how to turn that response right into an induction. So let's meet one of our students now. Would you come in, please? Why don't you just have a seat? Tell me your name.
Jim.
Jim? All right, Jim, please follow my instructions. Extend both arms out straight in front of you now. Reach out as far as you can. Keep your gaze directed right here. And don't take your eyes from mine until I tell you to. Thumbs up, fingers held together. Jim, in a moment I'm going to bring my finger in between your two hands. When I do, take your eyes from mine and fix them on my fingertip. Then I'll move my finger, and when I do not move your eyes, but keep looking straight ahead between your hands. All right, take your eyes from mine. Bring them down to my fingertip. I'm going to move my finger now, and when I do not move your eyes, but keep looking straight ahead between your hands. Then I'll count from 3 down to 1. When I do, close your eyelids down. The instant your eyelids close down, your two hands begin drawing together, just as if there were a magnet on the palm of each hand, pulling them in closer, closer, closing and moving in until your two hands touch. All right? 3, 2, 1. Close your eyelids down. Your hands are closing and moving in. They're moving in and closing. Closing and moving in. Moving in and closing. Closing, closing, closing. Closing and moving in. Picture the magnet on the palm of each hand. The closer your hands come together, the more powerful the magnetic pull becomes. Moving and closing, moving and closing, moving and closing. The instant your two hands close, you go deep asleep right then. The instant your two hands close, you go deep asleep right then. Closing and almost touching. Closing and almost touching. Closing and almost touching. The instant your two hands touch, your hands drop limply into your lap. Your head comes forward onto your chest. You take a good deep breath, let it out slowly, and as you exhale, send a wave of relaxation from the top of your head all the way down to the very tip of your toes. All right, that's fine. Your arms are limp, just like a rag doll. And as I raise your hand, just let the weight hang limply in my fingers. And when I drop it, send another wave of relaxation. As you feel your hand touch your body, send another wave of relaxation from the top of your head all the way down to the very tip of your toes. All right? And as you do, you find that you double your previous level of relaxation. Once again, with the other hand, I'll raise your hand, let the weight hang limply between my fingers. As I drop it, when it touches your body, send another wave of relaxation from the top of your head all the way down to the very tip of your toes. That's fine. Now you've relaxed your body, and I'm going to show you how to relax your mind. This time, when I touch your forehead, I want you to begin counting aloud in this manner. 99, you'll start with 100, deeper asleep. 99, deeper asleep. 98, deeper asleep. Now, after counting just a few numbers, you'll find those numbers beginning to fade away and disappearing. You'll find that you can relax those numbers right out of your mind. All right? As I touch your forehead, begin counting backward from 100 in your normal speaking voice, saying the words mentally, saying the words deeper asleep after each number you count. All right, begin.
100, deeper asleep.
Good.
99, deeper asleep.
That's wonderful.
98, deeper asleep.
Wonderful.
97, deeper asleep.
Now let those numbers begin fading right out of your mind.
Deeper asleep. 95, deeper asleep.
That's good. Now just start relaxing them right out of your mind.
94, deeper asleep.
Good. Let them fade farther and farther, become fainter and fainter, and just relax them right out of your mind. All right, you've relaxed your body, you've relaxed your mind. And at this point, your subconscious mind is open and highly responsive to all good and beneficial ideas. Now you see, at this point, you've only taken just a relatively brief time. You use the hand closing technique as an induction. We used the second part of the modified form of the Dave Ellman technique in lifting the hands and dropping them for deepening, and then the counting backward for mental relaxation and allowing the numbers to just fade away. Physical relaxation is characteristic of light to medium trance, mental relaxation, medium to deep trance. So we know we reached a good working level for our therapy. Now, James, I'm going to count from 1 up to 5, and at the count of 5, let your eyelids open. You're calm, rested, refreshed, relaxed. You feel wonderfully good. 1, slowly, calmly, easily, and gently, returning to your full awareness once again. 2, each muscle and nerve in your body is loose and limp and relaxed. You feel good. 3, from head to toe, you're feeling perfect in every way. On number 4, your eyes begin to feel sparkling clear. On the next number now, eyelids open, fully aware, feeling wonderfully good. Number 5. Eyelids open now, take a deep breath, fill up your lungs, and stretch. Jim, were you kind of surprised when those numbers just didn't seem to want to come? They just seemed to float off?
Yes, I was.
Uh-huh.
I was working at trying to make sure I had them.
Uh-huh. Trying to pull them in, and they just kept floating off. Good. You did fine, and you're going to do very well in this work. I think this is a good place, once again, to close down as we now that will complete our demonstration of the hand closing response. In a moment, we'll bring in another student. One of the most famous names in the history of contemporary hypnotism is Dr. Louis Wahlberg. Wahlberg's Medical Hypnosis in 2 volumes became a classic more than 25 years ago, as has his Techniques of Psychotherapy, which is used as a textbook, or book since it's a 2-volume set, in hundreds of universities throughout America. More recently, Dr. Wahlberg has a new second enlarged, expanded edition called Hypnosis, Is It For You? In the work Medical Hypnosis, Wahlberg developed the arm levitation technique, and it's come to be the favorite for many, many hypnotists around the world. It's a very permissive technique. It permits the subject to respond at their own rate of speed, in their own manner, and it can be used as a suggestibility test or as an induction. In this instance, we're going to demonstrate it as an induction. So let's bring another student in. May we meet you, please? Tell me your first name.
Roger.
Roger, will you please be seated? Good. Now, Roger, I just want you to do as I do. Place both of your hands onto your legs, onto your thighs. That's it. Now, in a moment, I'm going to count from 3 down to 1, and when I do, I want you to close your eyelids down. Now, the very instant your eyelids close down, I'll begin speaking to you, and I will count from 1 up to 20. As I count, a light, easy, pleasant feeling moves into your right hand and into your right arm. Now, if you'll look at my right hand, look down at my right hand. As I continue counting, a light sensation moves into your right hand, and soon you'll find slight movements of the fingers, a twitching of the muscles, and then your hand begins to lift. Your arm begins to lift, and it continues moving, lifting, and rising until it comes to rest over on your body. Now, it might come to rest on your chest, or even on your chin, or perhaps up on your cheek, or your forehead, or even up on the top of your head. When you feel that movement, Roger, in your hand and in your arm, don't try to resist. You could resist if you chose to. That's not why you're here. Just let your subconscious mind do its perfect work. All right, 3, 2, 1, close your eyelids down. Now I want you to focus, Roger, down to the sensations occurring in and around your right hand. Without moving your fingers, become aware of the texture of the material in that garment, in your the material in your trousers. Now I want you to mentally check the temperature of your right hand. Is it hot? Cool? Compare it with your left hand. Is your right hand dry or moist? Compare that with your left hand. Now I want you to become even more sensitive and see if you can pick up the beating of the pulse in your right wrist. And as you do, I'll count from 1 up to 20. As I continue counting, a light, easy, pleasant feeling moves into your right hand and into your right arm. As I continue counting, that feeling grows stronger and stronger. Soon you'll feel the first slight movements of the fingers, the twitching of the muscles. Then your hand begins to lift. Your arm begins to lift, and it continues moving and lifting and rising until it comes to rest up upon your body, perhaps your chest, or your chin, or your cheek, or your forehead, or even on top of your head. All right? When you feel that movement in your hand and in your arm, don't try to resist. You could resist if you chose to. That's not why you're here. Just let your subconscious mind do its perfect work. All right, number 1, the first light, easy sensation moves into the fingertips of your right hand. Number 2, the feeling is spreading around beneath the fingernails on number 3. It's moving up to the first joint of the fingers. Number 4, spreading to the large knuckle across the back of the hand. Number 5, soon the first light movements begin taking place, light movements of the fingers, the twitching of the muscles. Number 6. The light sensation continues to spread as on number 7. Your fingers grow lighter and lighter with each number I count. Number 8. Think of your left hand now. By comparison, your left hand feels quite heavy, while on number 9, your right hand grows lighter and is ready to lift. Number 10, the light sensation has moved into your wrist. From the fingertips all the way up to the wrist, your hand has grown light and free. Just as light as a feather floating in the breeze, and even lighter. As light as a gas-filled balloon. Just as a gas-filled balloon will rise and float toward the ceiling, your right hand now begins moving, lifting, rising, and floating. Each tiny movement now helping you to relax and let go even more. As on number 11, think of your left hand. Already it feels as heavy as lead, while on number 12, your right hand begins moving, lifting, rising, moving, lifting, and rising. On 13, the light sensation spreads up your forearm now. On 14, as your hand is lifting, coming up, and moving up, you're relaxing more than ever before. It's moving, lifting, rising. On 15, the light sensation is into your elbow. From the fingertips all the way up to the elbow, your hand is light and free and lifting. Just as light as a feather floating in the breeze, and even lighter. As light as a gas-filled balloon. Just as a gas-filled balloon will rise and float toward the ceiling, your hand is gently and easily floating up toward your body. 16, as your hand is lifting, you're going deeper and deeper into relaxation. 17, each tiny movement is helping you to relax more than ever before. 18, the light sensation has spread now all the way up toward your shoulder. On 19, on the next number I count, I want you to imagine that I'm tying a rope around your wrist. That rope runs up through a pulley that's screwed into the ceiling right above your head. It's a red plastic pulley. The rope is a blue plastic rope. One end will go up and through the pulley. The other end will be in my hand. When I pull down on my end of the rope, that'll draw your hand right on up. 19, tying the rope around your wrist. 20, I reach up, I grasp a hold of my end, and I'm pulling down. And as I do, that's drawing your hand right on up. I'll reach up with my left hand and grasp the rope again. And as I'm pulling down, it's just slowly but certainly drawing your hand up and swinging it in toward your body. Now I reach up again with my right hand. I'm slowly drawing down. And as I do, that rope is firmly and surely moving your hand over toward your body. Now when your hand touches your body, at that point, you'll feel yourself enter into a wonderfully peaceful state of deep relaxation. Now I'm going to pull down a little more quickly on the rope this time, and I'm going to pull your hand right in and over toward your body. That's it. It continues moving and coming in. It continues moving and coming in until it touches your body. When your hand touches your body, your eyelids lock tightly closed. Your eyelids lock so tightly closed, the more you try to open them, the tighter they're locking closed. Now your hand is moving in toward your body. When it touches your body, your eyelids lock tightly closed, so the more you try to open them, the tighter they're locking closed. Now your hand is almost touching your body. As it's moving in and coming in, it's just about to touch your body. Just another tiny, tiny bit of distance coming in, and now it's almost up against your body. Now you feel your thumb touching your sweater, and as it does, your hand drops limply into your lap. Your eyelids lock so tightly closed. The more you try to open them, the tighter they're locking closed. Try now to open your eyelids and find them locking tighter and tighter. Make the try and satisfy yourself. Stop trying, relax, let your head come forward onto your chest, and you go into a very deep and peaceful hypnotic slumber. Now it's important when doing this particular technique. First of all, it's important to be sure that you don't get a tickle in your throat, as I just did. But it's important to use the rule of reversed mental effect. That is, the more your eyelids open, the tighter they're locking closed. Now, if you listen to that statement, or we say you can try to open your eyelids and find them locking tighter and tighter. You'll find two suggestions in there, and they're kind of paradoxical, although not really. Try to open your eyelids is not the same as saying open your eyelids. The word try implies a potential for failure. Find them locking tighter and tighter is the key suggestion. It tells the subject how they're expected to respond. So when you say, the more you try to open your eyelids, the tighter they're locking closed, you present a very powerful verbal double bind. Be sure that you don't make the mistake of saying you cannot open your eyes, you are powerless to open your eyes. In a book called A Master Course in Hypnosis, the author of that book says, you are powerless to open your eyes because you are in my power and you must do what I say so. You are obedient to my every command. Despite that author's reputation, I would like to say that's very, very poor terminology. You just cannot maximize your effectiveness with a wide range of hypnotic subjects with that kind of terminology. Always use the rule of reverse mental expectancy. Reversed mental effort is a better term. Now here in the Wahlberg arm levitation, you saw a true subconscious response. How can we tell? Well, I'm going to raise my arm up to my chest, and as I do it, you'll see, because it's a conscious movement, there are two factors that are always present. I bring it up to my chest, and the two factors are, one, it's a smooth flowing movement. My hand does not come up in little, tiny, jerky, erratic movements. It comes up in a smooth flowing movement because I'm consciously directing it. The second factor that's present in a consciously directed movement of the arm is what we call economy of movement. It goes virtually in a straight line from where it begins to where it ends. It doesn't come up and then over and then back and in a series of movements. And so you saw, and that's how you can judge with the subjects you're working with as to whether or not they're over-cooperating and trying to be too helpful, which, by the way, is the most subtle form of resistance, or whether indeed it's a true hypnotic response. At this point, you can deepen a little bit. You might say, do the dropping of the arm to deepen, as I did just a moment ago, and say, I'm going to drop your arm as it touches your body. You'll feel yourself drift much deeper into hypnosis. Now just relax and go deeper in sleep. Also be aware I use the principle of compounding. Compounding means as the arm began lifting, I poured on the second suggestion. As your arm is lifting, you're going deeper and deeper into relaxation. Then as the arm came up toward the chest, I gave a third suggestion. When your hand touches your body, your eyelids lock tightly closed. Then I used a fourth pyramiding suggestion when I said, try to open your eyelids, find them locking tighter and tighter. Make a try and satisfy yourself. Stop trying, relax, and go deeper in sleep. Now what happens there is, since the subconscious mind reasons primarily in the deductive manner or mode, when the hand begins to feel light and when it begins to rise, then I give the second suggestion. As your hand is lifting, you're going deeper and deeper into hypnosis. The subconscious mind, reasoning deductively from effect back to cause, said, he told me my hand would feel light, and it felt light. He told me my hand would lift, and it did lift. Now he says that my eyelids will lock closed, so they will lock closed. The rule or the principle here is, the rule of the mind is, each time the nervous system reacts in a given way, it becomes easier for it to react that way the next time. And that's what you're doing at this stage. You're developing a pattern of reaction in the subject. You're training them to accept and act upon suggestions so that at a later time, when you attempt to give them therapeutic suggestions, they will find it easier to accept, even though those suggestions generate conflict with their behavior patterns. So when you suggest to the addicted smoker who smokes 2 or 3 packages of cigarettes a day that they're becoming free of tobacco, instead of that subconscious feeling that keeps them smoking canceling or attempting to neutralize the suggestion with a negative feedback, because you train the subject in response, there's a much greater likelihood that your suggestions will not only penetrate to the subconscious mind, but will become fixed there. Now, when I count from 1 up to 5, I want you to let your eyelids open. You are calm, rested, refreshed, relaxed, and you feel wonderfully good. 1, slowly, calmly, easily, and gently, returning to your full awareness once again. 2, each muscle and nerve in your body is loose and limp and relaxed. You feel good. 3, from head to toe, you're feeling perfect in every way on number 4. Your eyes begin to feel sparkling clear, just as though they were bathed in cold spring water. On the next number now, eyelids open, fully aware, feeling wonderfully good in every way. Number 5. Eyelids open now. Take a deep breath. Fill up your lungs and stretch. Well, you kind of surprised yourself, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What were you thinking or feeling as your hand was lifting?
Expectation.
You had an expectation that it would come up.
Relaxation.
Mm-hmm. All right, wonderful. You did very well, and now as you're enrolled in class, we're going to look for big things from you as you learn the principles of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Thank you. In just a moment, we'll have another lesson with another student. Many therapists lose business and money because of their unwillingness to test the hypnotized subject. I know that because in the years that I accumulated the 40,000 hours of clinical hypnotherapy that represents the background of my experience, I've had many, many people come to me, and when I interview them in the pre-hypnotic interview and say, have you ever been hypnotized before? They say no. Have you ever made an effort to be hypnotized? Yes. With whom? And then they tell me a a physician or a psychologist or psychological counselor of some kind, marriage counselor. I say, tell me exactly what happened. Say, well, I went there and they told me to lie down, and I did. I closed my eyes, and they told me that I was relaxing, and that seemed to go on for a while. And then they said, open your eyes. And I got up, and they said, well, now you were hypnotized. And I said, well, no, I wasn't hypnotized. I heard every word you said, and I knew where I was all the time. And they say, oh, you were hypnotized. You had the hypnotic cast on your face, and your rate of respiration changed. And I said, well, I do feel very relaxed, but I wasn't hypnotized. And then he said, oh, yes, you were. I'm the expert, and I can tell. So I just decided not to argue with him anymore. Then I asked them the question, well, what happened when you went home? Well, I went home, and my husband said to me, well, dear, how did it go with your session with the hypnotist? Did you get hypnotized? And I said, well, I don't know. He replied, what do you mean you don't know? You should know if you were hypnotized or not. And I said, well, I didn't think I was, but he kept saying that I was. And my husband said, what do you mean he kept saying? You should know if you were hypnotized or not. And I said, well, I heard everything. I knew what was going on. And my husband said, oh, you weren't hypnotized. By the way, how much did that cost you? Well, $50. You didn't make another appointment, did you? No, I didn't. And even if they had, you know they're not going to show up now. Now, the economics of being a therapist are simple. It costs a certain amount of money in advertising and in the expenditure of your own energies, time, to bring a client into your office. If they don't come back after the first session, you have lost your investment. The reason that therapists are unwilling to test their clients is that they're afraid if the client doesn't fully respond, that somehow they'll feel that the hypnotist is incompetent. And I have a powerful suspicion that one wouldn't worry about being perceived as incompetent unless one felt incompetent. Now, you can bypass all of that by doing three things, three tests. I teach that first we have the pre-hypnotic interview. That's about 15 minutes, in which is a brief history taking. The person makes a presentation, that is, they tell you what it is that they want help with. Then there's the pre-hypnotic interview. First comes the interview, then the pre-hypnotic interview, which deals with their background, their knowledge, their understanding, and their awareness or lack of awareness about hypnosis. Then finally, or third step is the hypnotic process. When I hypnotize the person, I give them a series of tests. And the fourth step, and a very important one, is the post-hypnotic interview. Now, I'm going to re-educate that subject on the very first session so that when they leave my office, they leave with one of two attitudes. One, I know that I was hypnotized because, and whatever reasons they've decided, or, well, I'm not quite certain if I were hypnotized. Well, sometimes I think I was, and sometimes I think I wasn't. Well, maybe I was. Well, maybe I wasn't. You see, that position is a lot better than, no, I wasn't hypnotized. And so the way I do that is once I've induced hypnosis, I do the Wahlberg arm levitation. I lock the eyelids closed, and the third test is called a heavy left arm. And that simply means, in its shortest form, as their arm is lifting on the arm levitation, I use two compounding suggestions. As your arm is lifting, your eyelids are locking tightly closed. When your hand touches your body, your eyelids lock so tightly closed, the more you try to open them, the tighter they're locking closed. At the same time, your left arm begins to feel as heavy as lead. Your left arm feels so heavy, it feels as though it were made of marble or stone and far too heavy to lift. Your left arm feels so heavy that once your hand touches your body, just the thought of attempting to lift it is more than you want to deal with at this time. Then I go back to the eyes, and now your hand is touching your body, your eyelids are locking tightly closed. At the same time, your left arm has become so heavy, it feels as if it were impossible to lift. I don't say it's impossible to lift it. Many people will have to defy that kind of phrasing. Use the subjunctive mood, the condition contrary to fact. It feels as if, or it feels as though it were impossible for you to lift. In fact, it feels so heavy that just the thought of lifting it is more than you want to deal with at this time. You may, if you wish, make an effort or try to lift your left arm, but it just seems like it's more than you want to deal with at this time. Pause. Wait about 3 seconds. Count to yourself 1001, 1002, 1003. If they don't lift their left arm off the chair or off the couch, just say, "That's fine. Now stop trying, relax, and go deeper in sleep." Now here's a key element. At this point, I am going to re-educate them by helping them to understand what hypnosis is. And I say, you now understand that when I use the word sleep in hypnosis, I do not mean the kind of sleep that you sleep at night. I'm referring to this wonderfully pleasant state of mental and physical relaxation that you've been experiencing here, right now. Now, just a few moments ago, you felt your arm lift, you felt your eyelid stick, and you felt your left arm just seemed to be so heavy. Now, you notice I didn't say to them, your arm lifted and you couldn't stop it, or you couldn't open your eyes, or you couldn't lift your arm. Let me say again how I do it. You felt your arm lifting, you felt your eyelids sticking closed, and you felt your left arm felt so heavy that it felt as if you didn't want to lift it. The feelings that you felt are the feelings of hypnosis. You see, there is no reason, no logical reason, for your right arm to feel light and your left arm to feel heavy. Logically, they should remain feeling exactly the same. There is no reason for your eyelids not to open the very instant you have the very slightest thought about opening them. Now, the reason that I call these sensations the feelings of hypnosis is that in hypnosis, that part of your mind that processes incoming ideas in terms of their rational content, such as, why should my arm get light, or why should my arm get heavy, or why shouldn't I be able to open my eyes? I've always been able to do it before. That part of the mind, which we call the critical factor of the conscious mind, is temporarily relaxed, inactive. For the moment, it's passive. Now, it hasn't disappeared. A good analogy is a stereo system. If you have such a system, you know that there's a control knob, a rheostat. In the center position, it allows the music to be played from the right speaker and the left speaker as well. If you turn that rheostat all the way to the right, you will only hear the music from the right speaker, and suddenly the left speaker is silent. Now, that doesn't mean that the left speaker has disappeared or any of the circuitry. It simply means at that moment it's passive. It's not functioning. If I turn the knob all the way to the left, suddenly the left speaker becomes active and the right speaker becomes silent or passive in its function. When I put the rheostat back up to the balance or center position, then both speakers function appropriately. And so in the same way, when the critical factor of the conscious mind is relaxed, and that's what happens when you're in hypnosis, you could accept ideas. Ideas such as one arm is light and floating and the other arm is too heavy to lift. And the critical factor does not argue with that in terms of rational behavior. And so in a moment I'm going to terminate your trance, and when I do, you're going to have a far better understanding of what hypnosis really is. Most people have a misunderstanding that comes from novels and cartoons and books and comic strips. But what you've experienced is a true hypnotic experience based upon the reality of what you have felt and experienced today. And so from this time forward, you'll have a wonderful understanding of the dual functioning of your mind. You'll understand that you have a conscious level of mind, a subconscious level of mind, and they function all of the time in unison. In hypnosis, we deal with the subconscious mind, and it's far more accessible to us than at any other time. Simultaneously, the critical factor of the conscious mind is temporarily set aside. All right, I'm going to count from 1 up to 5. At the count of 5, let your eyelids open. You're calm, rested, refreshed, relaxed, and you feel wonderfully good with a full understanding of everything that has taken place when you here today that you've been hypnotized, and a full understanding of the true nature of hypnosis. 1, slowly, calmly, easily, and gently returning to your full awareness once again. 2, each muscle and nerve in your body is loose and limp and relaxed, and you feel wonderfully good. 3, from head to toe, you're feeling perfect in every way on number 4. Your eyes begin to feel sparkling clear, just as though they were bathed in cold spring water. On the next number now, eyelids open, fully aware, feeling wonderfully good in every way, number 5. Eyelids open now, take a deep breath, fill up your lungs, and the stretch. Now I pause for just a moment. I look at the subject, and I say to him, well, you kind of surprised yourself, didn't you? Now he has 3 potential answers. He can say yes, or a neutral answer, which is I don't know, or what do you mean? Or he can say no. Whatever he says, my response is always the same. You kind of surprised yourself, didn't you? Yes. Tell me about it. He says, well, to tell you the truth, I wasn't sure when my arm was coming up because, well, I thought maybe I'm lifting it. But you know, when I tried to open my eyelid and they didn't open, that convinced me that I was hypnotized. Suppose I say, you kind of surprised yourself, didn't you? And he says, well, no, not really. Tell me about it. Well, I expected that I would respond well, and so seems like I just did everything that you suggested, and I understand it all. Then the third response, well, you kind of surprised yourself, didn't you? Well, I'm not sure. Tell me about it. Well, when my hand was lifting, at first I wasn't sure. Am I lifting it, or is the subconscious? What's lifting it? And I say to him, what you mean is you weren't aware of your subconscious generating a physical response while you could observe it. And he says, yeah, that's right. That's all new to me. At which point I say to him, now you understand more about what hypnosis really is, don't you? I say, yes, that's right. And that ends the first session. When that person goes home and talks to that significant other in that central relationship, they can only say, well, did you get hypnotized today? Yes, I did. It was the strangest thing. My arm came up and came over on my chest. Oh, you were hypnotized. Or I tried to open my eyes and they didn't open. Oh, yes, you were hypnotized. Or they can say, well, I'm not really sure. Well, what do you mean? Tell me what happened. Well, my arm came up like that, but I don't know if I raised it up or it just came up. But what about your eyes? Well, I tried to open my eyelids and they seemed stuck, or maybe if I'd tried harder. Oh, you were hypnotized. I can tell you're going to do real good now with that hypnotist. And so you have ensured that that client will come back so that you can do the good work that you're capable of doing, that you can give the high-quality service that you've been trained to give, that you can earn the generous income that you've earned and are entitled to. We're going to close down now with today's lesson, and I'll be talking to you again the next time. This lesson has to do with rapid induction. This is a special method that I have developed and have trained 4,000 hypnotherapists around the world, although not very many of them get to use it because it takes a lot of confidence to learn to use it. So here's one of our class members tonight, and let's meet her now. Come right in. Your first name, please?
Kim.
Kim. Now, Kim, this is your first night in class. Have you ever been hypnotized before? I think right before class you told me about an experience on the stage.
Yes.
What happened?
It was like sleeping. It was, yeah. She asked you to do things.
It was in a nightclub.
Yeah.
And you felt you responded well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is your first night in class, and you've never had this experience before?
No.
Would you just pull your feet together, please? That's it. Pull them right in together. That's it. Now take a deep breath. Exhale and sleep. Turn loose now. Relax. Let a good, pleasant feeling come all across your body. The more I rock you, the deeper into relaxation you're going. Arms limp. That's it, just like a rag doll. Now, Kim, listen carefully. Your legs are strong beneath you, and you can stand and sleep and maintain your equilibrium at all times. Now, Kim, I'm going to count from 5 down to 1. As I do, your eyelids lock tightly closed. When I reach the count of 1, they lock so tightly closed, the more you try to open your eyelids, the tighter they're locking closed. 5, eyelids pressing down tightly. 4, they're pressing down and sealing shut. 3, they're sealing as if they were glued. 2, they're locked. The more you try to open them now, the tighter they're locking closed. 1, try to open your eyelids now. Find them locking tighter and tighter. Make a try and satisfy yourself. Then stop trying, relax, and just sleep deeply now. That's all. Now you're much deeper in sleep than you were just a few moments ago. You continue relaxing more with each easy breath that you take. This time, I want you to clench your fist. Stiffen your arm. Let your arm grow very powerful now. But just as powerful as a steel bar. Stiff and rigid. So stiff, so rigid, so powerful, the more you try to lower or bend your arm, the stiffer and tighter it becomes. Try to bend or lower your arm and find it locking. Stiff, stiff, and rigid. When I tap your forehead, your arm drops limply to your side. You go much deeper in sleep. Drop it down and go deeper. That's fine. Now you're deeper into hypnosis than you were just a few moments ago, and going deeper with each easy breath that you take. I'm going behind you now, and I'm turning your body slightly so that you can continue going much deeper into hypnosis. Begin circling your hands around each other. As I release them, continue the motion of your own accord, moving, spinning, and turning. As your hands are turning, think about your heart. Now your heart beats automatically in response to the needs of your body. In the same way, your hands are moving automatically. The more you try to stop the motion, the faster it's turning. Now try to stop them turning faster, moving and spinning and turning. When I touch your forehead, they instantly spin in the opposite direction, back the other way, moving and spinning and turning. As your hands are turning, you're going much deeper into hypnosis, deeper than ever before. This time I touch your forehead, your arms drop down, you go limply, you go deeply into hypnosis, drop them down and go deeper. That's fine. I bring the palms of your hands together now, interlock your fingers, stiffen your arms, squeeze your fingers very tightly against the backs of your hands. Even tighter. That's good. Imagine that your two hands are carved in one solid block of wood. They are locked so tightly closed, the more you try to pull your hands apart, the tighter they're locking closed. Try now to pull your hands apart and find them locking tighter and tighter. Make the try and satisfy yourself. That's good. Now I'm going to touch your forehead. You may open your eyes, even though your eyelids are open. There's nothing you can do or say or think that will enable you to pull your hands apart. All right? Let your eyelids open now. Look at your hands. Try to pull your hands apart and find them locking tighter and tighter. Now, when you're satisfied that your hands are indeed locked tightly closed, say the words, I'm satisfied. Say
I'm
the
satisfied.
All right. Sleep now. Close your eyelids down, arms relaxing limply by your side, and go much deeper in sleep. Listen carefully. Here's your signal. From this time forward, whenever I look at you with the intention of and the purpose of inducing a trance, all that's necessary for me to do is to simply pull the lobe of my right ear. As I pull the lobe of my right ear, your eyelids snap closed, and you go deep into hypnosis, even deeper than you are right now. All right? I'm going to turn you a little bit more now, back the way you were, and I'm going to count to 3. At the count of 3, only your eyelids open. All right? 1, 2, 3. Opening, opening, opening. Oh, you didn't know you could relax so well, did you?
No.
Yeah? How do you feel about all that? That's it. Just go much deeper in sleep. Now, when I count to 3, let your eyelids open. 1, 2, 3, let them open. Is there something that causes you to just keep falling like that? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, what is it?
When you touch your ear.
When I touch my ear, what has that got to do with anything? I'm going to tell you. Say that's a post-hypnotic reinduction. Say that.
That's a post-hypnotic reinduction.
And you just had your first lesson, didn't you? All right. So now we've met Kim, and we've seen how rapidly and how quickly we can develop a trance and train this person, the subject, for instantaneous response. And that's a good answer to all of the physicians and other clinicians who reject hypnosis and say, well, it's too time-consuming, I just don't have time for it. It's not the least bit time-consuming when you know how to do it and what you're doing. We're going to close down now, and in just a moment we'll have another student from our professional hypnotism training class. We're back again, and let's get another student now up from the classroom. Would you come in, please? Tell us your first name.
George.
George? Now, you've just started class. Have you ever been hypnotized?
No, I haven't.
Not in a nightclub, or have you ever seen anyone hypnotized?
Well, yes, I have many times.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was an attempt to hypnotize me at one time.
Tell me about that. Was that in a nightclub for entertainment, at a party, or for therapeutic purposes?
For therapeutic purposes.
Tell me, what happened?
Well, I just laid there. I was on a couch, and the hypnotist gave me suggestions.
Now, was this
relax my body.
a certified hypnotherapist, a physician, a psychologist, a marriage counselor? What kind of person
was
was
a psychologist. He was a clergyman, a psychologist. He had a degree in psychology.
I see. He was then like a pastoral
he worked through
counselor,
his
psychologist.
church, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Head of the counseling department in his church.
He said I was under. Possibly I was. I didn't think I was.
How did you feel about it?
Well, I was very still for a long time, which...
you felt you relaxed?
Yeah, he told me that was an indication that I was hypnotized.
Didn't give you any test?
No, not that I could remember, no.
Right. The students, that's a big mistake. You see, when the client goes away and they're not certain they've been hypnotized, they're not likely to come back, especially if they go home and they talk to that significant other who says, well, how did your hypnosis session go today? And they say, well, I'm not quite sure. What do you mean you're not quite sure? Well, were you hypnotized? Well, I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? Surely you would know if you're hypnotized or not. No, I don't think I was. How much did that cost you? Oh, $40. You're going back next week? I don't think so. So the first rule in learning to be a hypnotherapist is how to bring the client back. And that means on the first session, you must bring to the client's awareness, bring to the client an awareness of the trance state. So let's move on then with the instantaneous induction. Now, a moment ago you saw me work with Kim. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
No, I haven't.
All right, pull your feet together. Stand relaxed. Sleep! Turn loose now, relax. Let a good, pleasant feeling come all across your body. The more I rock you, the deeper into hypnosis you're going. 10, 9, 8, you're drifting down. 7, 6, 5, calmly, quietly, easily, and gently. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now your arms are limp, just like a rag doll. You feel good all over now. Now I'm going to turn you slightly. I'm going to count from 5 down to 1. As I do, your eyelids lock tightly closed. They lock so tightly closed, the more you try to open them, the tighter they're locking closed. 5, eyelids pressing down tightly. 4, pressing down, sealing shut. 3, sealing as if they were glued to. They're locked. The more you try to open them now, the tighter they're locking closed. 1, try to open your eyelids and find them locking tighter and tighter. Make a try and satisfy yourself, and then stop trying to relax and just sleep deeply. That's fine. All right, now listen carefully. This time I'm going behind you. I'll turn you slightly. I want you to raise this arm. Imagine you're standing at a blackboard. You've got a chalk in your fingers, and you're making large circles on the board. And your arm is making those circles, going around, 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 faster now with the circles, moving, spinning, turning. The motion's automatic. The more you try to stop the movement, the faster your arm is turning. Try to stop it now. It's turning faster. I'll tap you on top of the head, and it instantly turns the opposite direction, back the other way, moving, spinning, and turning. As I touch your head, it drops by your side. You go deeper in sleep, drop it down, and go deeper. That's fine. Now, those of you watching this film, be aware of the quality and the nature and the speed and the form of the movements. All of those give you information about the quality of response. Now, I'm going to show you a little different post-hypnotic signal. With Kim, you saw that it was when I touched my ear. This time, I'll give you a little different one. I'm going to count to 3, and when I do, only your eyelids open. When your eyelids open, I'll say 2 words. The words are, sleep now, and then I'll snap my fingers like that. On the finger snap, your eyelids close down, and you go deeper into hypnosis, even deeper than you are right now. Then at the count of 3, eyelids open, 1, 2, 3. Opening, sleep now. Close them down and go deeper. And again, 1, 2, 3. Opening, 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 sleep now. And again, 1, 2, 3. Opening, opening, sleep now. Much deeper than before. And again, 1, 2, 3, opening, 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 sleep now. Much deeper. And again, 1, 2, 3, opening, 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 sleep now. That's good. Now, as you work with the subject, you can be aware, both by the speed in which they open their eyes and the relative degree of focused awareness that you see or fail to see in their eyes. When I count to 3, then open your eyes. 1, 2, 3, open your eyes. All right. Say your first name again.
George.
George. George, how did all that feel to you?
It felt like I had to follow what you said.
Okay. So far now, and I know this is difficult for you without the previous experience, do you think that you've been hypnotized or not?
I think so, yes.
What is it that makes you think so?
Well, when I was closing
Sleep
my eyes...
now. That's fine. Now, you notice how they just terminate their words right in the middle of the sentence, and no hesitancy about it. When I count to 3, George, open your eyes. 1, 2, 3, straighten out. You were telling me what it is that makes you feel that this time you may have been hypnotized.
Because when my eyes were, you told me to try and open them, I really couldn't open them.
The
I really
catalepsy.
Felt pressure on, yes.
You made a strong effort.
I did, and I really felt like, they were really...
Sleep now. That's fine. Just relax all over. All right. Now, some of you may remember a film of recent years called Equus. It was also a stage play, and in that film, the psychiatrist hypnotized a young man every day. And go back and remember how he reinduced the trance. On the first session, he told the young boy, each time I tap my pencil on the desk 3 times like this, and he proceeded to tap it, your eyelids will close and you go into a deep trance. Then each day when the young boy arrived into the office, he said, hello, how are you today? The young man sat down in the chair, he tapped the pen on the desk 3 times, and the young man went into a trance. That's exactly what we're teaching you here. That speeded up, rapid transition. Now, in just a moment, we're going to go back to teaching the class, and you'll get to meet some of these other students a little bit later on. We're going to close down just as soon as I have George open his eyes. All right, George, I'm going to count from 1 up to 5. At the count of 5, eyelids open, fully aware, feeling good. 1, slowly, calmly, easily, and gently, returning to your full awareness once again. 2, each muscle and nerve in your body is loose and limp and relaxed. You feel good. 3, from head to toe, you're feeling perfect in every way. On number 4, your eyes begin to feel sparkling clear. On the next number now, eyelids open, fully aware, feeling wonderfully good. Number 5, eyelids open now. Take a deep breath, fill up your lungs, and stretch.